Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Give everyone a moment to take their virtual seat. Appreciate you showing up today. Beginning of a new school year, beginning of a new season. It's an exciting time. Okay, we've got a lot to do today, so I'm going to go ahead and jump on in. I'm sure Jane's going to hit those spotlights in a second, and we'll be rocking and rolling. My name is Rachel Hutchison. I am the Senior Director of Online Instructional Design here at NHSA, and it is my pleasure to be here today to talk to you about tackling challenging behaviors. I'm not going to talk a lot. I'm going to ask a lot of questions, though, which I hope will help you learn more about how you can tackle behaviors that challenge us in your situations, in your classrooms, in your spaces. And as we all know, that begins with us. So we're going to tackle some good stuff today. If you've not joined us for this series before, I'm just going to go over a few housekeeping notes. First off, everybody is muted, but you are more than welcome to put your questions in the chat. Dr. B is great about interacting with you, so please do let us know what you are thinking, and we'll think through it with you. This is being recorded. The recording and resources are all going to be available to you via a follow-up email that'll be out in the next couple of days. You will also receive a certificate of completion that will be sent in a separate email, so watch for that. Those are only available for those who attend live, so lucky you. Thanks for being here today. Now I'm going to introduce our speaker, which is, as we all know, Dr. Deb Bergeron, known fondly to those of us as Dr. B. She is the Deputy Director of Community Engagement and Innovation here at NHSA. She's also the former Director of the Office of Head Start. Prior to that, Dr. B spent a lot of years in public education as a classroom teacher and a school administrator. She has seen it all, so don't be shy. Put those questions in the chat. Promise you can't scare her. Okay, now we are going to have 4 webinars in this series this year, and they are all going to be fantastic. These are going to be topics we haven't really covered previously. This has proven to be a very popular series in Head Start, so we just keep offering it and looking for new facets of tackling behaviors that are challenging to focus on. So if there are specific things that you would like to hear more about, please do let us know. Today, we are going to talk about going to solutions and using You May. But before we get there, I thought we would start by talking about a quick overview of what we do in this webinar series. It's a lot more than basic classroom management skills. It really is a whole philosophy. And that philosophy is called Trust First. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. B to explain what that means. Go for it, Dr. B.
Thanks, Rachel. It is so good to be here with everybody. This really has been one of the most fun webinar series that I get to be a part of. I think for a number of reasons. The first is that it's hitting an area that we desperately need support with for our teachers and our instructional aides, everybody who's interacting with children during the day. So the need is there. The second thing is that we've devised these webinars to be very quick, easy to access, and you always get to take something back with you that you can try tomorrow. So we promise we will leave you with a wonderful party favor that you can take back for yourself, for other team members. Give it a shot, see what you think. Come back next time, tell us how it worked. And that's what we love about being able to come in, meet with you, and let you go back and practice. But the classroom management credential that we put together here is focused on something called Trust First. That's a course that I have put together using my background in education and also a lot of training that I went through. I normally have a wonderful partner with me, Rhonda Conn-Parent. She teaches the class with me. She is a classroom teacher, and she lives on the West Coast, so she is not able to be here during this webinar. I will have to channel her today. But we want to give you a sense of what Trust First is before we get into a skill today. And I think Rachel summarized that really well by calling it a philosophy. We're going to teach you actual skills you can use, things you can do differently tomorrow than you did today. But at the end of the day, Trust First is really a philosophy. It's a way of thinking. It's a belief system. And so before I jump into that part, I'm just going to ask you a question. You can choose to just think of an answer, or you can choose to put it in the chat, do a little engagement, and I'll keep an eye on that. I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to just think of the first person that comes to your mind, and not the name, but who they are to you. That's what I care about more. And if I say, who do you trust in your life? Who's somebody who comes to your mind immediately? And if you're comfortable putting it in the chat, put it in the chat. Partner, husband, mom, Michelle, my mother. So we see lots of family members, immediate family members. I saw God listed there. Love that you have such a strong relationship with your faith, your kids. I saw a best friend. I like that. Um, the next thing I want you to think about, and this you don't have to put in the chat, I just really want you to think about it, and then I'll explain to you why this course is so important. Why? Why were these the people who came top of mind to you? And as you mull that over, I'm going to take a guess that these are people you trust because they are, someone put secure, because these are people you know have your back when push comes to shove. They're people you know you can count on them. I love that. Who said that? JG, Jackie, beautiful. You can count on them. That means you can mess up and they don't abandon you. You can have a really bad day and you know it's okay. You're going to get through it because that person's going to be there with you. Safety, exactly. So trust first is built on a philosophy that if children trust us as classroom teachers, instructional assistants, anybody who engages, as a school principal, I took on this philosophy myself, that when people trust us, they generally will do what you need them to do. And they do that because they know you have their best interest at heart. They know they're safe with you. And so what you are asking is something they trust makes sense. This is just a form of psychology and the way that human beings behave. Now, one of the things we do with classroom management is we put a lot of rules around how we're going to engage with children and how classrooms should look and what we expect and all of these things that turn into systems that often will undermine building trust because we're so worried about the efficacy of the system that we forget the purpose is really a good relationship with a child. So just think about those kinds of things. How's that landing with you? Are you hearing that and going, yeah, totally. That's what we try to do every day. Or are you thinking, yeah, but you don't understand. I have 5 kids in my classroom who will throw a chair if they get mad. What am I supposed to do with that? So th- you're going to hear this and it'll settle in your brain a certain way. Today is not going to be the day that you process all of it and we sign off in 30 minutes and you're good to go. This is just planting the seeds. No judgment. Love it, Maria. So that's sort of what Trust First is about. Today, we're going to just take a morsel of it and drop it in your lap and let you chew on it a little bit and try it out. And we'll meet a few times this year and continue the conversation. And if you're in the class, we'll meet more often and you'll have a little bit more engagement opportunity. We'll share many, many more skills. All right, Rachel, how's that?
That was fantastic. So I hope
Okay.
everybody has like leveled their expectations. We're not changing anyone's life today. That takes more time, but we are going to plant some seeds, and we all know that in seeds there is life. So let's start by talking about one skill, one of the 10 skills that we talk about in our Trust First course. So this one is called going to solution. And that might sound really obvious. I mean, we're always looking for solutions when we're facing challenging situations, right? That's exactly what we do. How do I fix it? Um, so we're going to talk about what makes a trust first approach to that different. So we'll start with the basics. What does it mean, Dr. B, when you're telling folks go to solution? And why is that shift in how we approach this important?
So you can start just with the way we titled this series. The phrase challenging behaviors has bothered me since it came into our vernacular in education because it puts the focus on the problem and it focuses on what kids are doing wrong. And as soon as your brain is engaged that way, it's amazing how powerful language is, by the way. As soon as your brain hears challenging behaviors, you are looking at a child doing something wrong and you're trying to fix them. And as soon as you enter that space in your head, you are in control mode and you're not in solution mode. And as you know, you can think of the situations you've had as a teacher or watching someone in action, and you know this is true. You get into that battle of that can be like a power struggle, even with a 3 year old, right? You can have a power struggle with a 3 year old, and it becomes about how do I get him to do what I want him to do? And as soon as that's the word, the language going through your head, you will not come across in a way that is trustworthy. All those people you listed who you trust, have never said to you, "I need to get you to do something." They have built trust and you just organically do it. So going to solution is about literally keeping your eye on the solution, on the solving of day-to-day interaction. So we call this series tackling behaviors that challenge us. And we did that very intentionally because these are behaviors that make our day difficult. The child, him or herself, may not really have a problem with throwing a chair, might actually feel kind of good. Doesn't work in my classroom. So that's something I have to cope with. So it's shifting the focus to the solution rather than on the problem. If you think about the different ways that we navigate our day with children and how we engage and guide them, you might think of something really basic. I'll go to the most basic form of guidance that we give kids. We know when we walk from the classroom to the playground, we all need to have walking feet because running feet inevitably turn into someone tripping and falling, and somebody gets hurt. So we want walking feet in the hallway. And in early childhood, in general, we're pretty good about coming up with creative little walking feet or whatever the phrases you use to describe what it is to use walking and not running. But in the moment, it's really tempting to tell a kiddo, no running. That's a really basic example of focusing on the problem and not the solution. The solution is walking feet. So when you think about big problems you have, that's a minor problem. When you think about a classroom, if you're in a classroom right now and you're thinking about some of the challenges you have, what is the thing you're focusing on? But what is the solution to that? And starting to shift your focus to being solution driven and not staying in that problem space. We tend to build a comfort level with being what I call in the problem. We don't mean to. We actually are trying to be successful and solve it, but because our human nature is to take that and focus on what isn't working, that tends to be more of the way our brains will engage. And once that happens, your whole demeanor changes. The way your tone of voice comes out changes. The way your the language you use will change that you use with a child. And those nuanced little things all add up to a culture in a classroom that is not trust based. So to get to trust, you start with that solution oriented thinking. And again,
I
we go way deeper into this in the class. So I'm trying to do my best.
feel like there might be applications for this outside the classroom, Dr. B. I don't know. I might feel a little seen right now. Um, so beyond understanding why it's important to shift our focus from the problem to the solution and staying focused there on moving away from language that makes us really fixate on blaming and control. We all know that is super hard to do, right? We get it. We all know that, especially when we're calm. But it's really hard to change habits, and moving away from fixating on problems is a lot easier to say than it is to do. So, what does that look like when you start doing it in a classroom? Nobody's going to be good at this tomorrow. What does it look like to use go-to solution, especially in challenging moments, maybe when
Mm-hmm.
tempers are a little high? How do we
Mm-hmm.
get there?
I think that it starts by creating a classroom look and feel, and the skills that we learn in trust first slowly chip away at that culture that feels sort of problem centric at a time when it's not when it's not a crisis, because then your brain is clear, right? You're cool, you're calm, you can handle it. And on some of those small things. So I would say, and I want to just talk a little bit about a word you used. You said when we're in that blaming headspace, we the only way you have challenging behaviors is if you're in a blaming frame of mind, because you're pushing outward. You're saying this is what the child is doing that is wrong, and I have to fix it, and that automatically puts you in sort of a blaming framework. The problem with blame is as soon as we point outwards and blame, we lose ability to change ourselves. And really, the only here's the big lesson of the day, guys. You kind of already know this, but sometimes we don't think about it. The only person you're really going to change is yourself. You can only change from within. And then your hope is that that ends up influencing from without. But if your goal is to, like, I always like using the word get a kiddo to do a thing. I can promise you, and you already know this, if you work in classrooms, you already know this is true. So blame can be something that gets us stuck. So I want you to get out of that blame space. And when Rachel says, what are some of the things we can do? If I were giving you just today's little seed planting, as I said earlier, it would just be to check your own internal language. What is going through your head when you want to redirect a child? When you want to redirect, so we can use running down the hallway as an example. You may use walking feet or whatever your school uses. You want to use the language your school uses, but really trying to um, avoid the no, whatever it is you don't want them to do. And even though we don't work those into our classrooms in early childhood, we do that in K-12, by the way. You can walk into a K-12 class school and see lots of no signs. We were working on that when I was an administrator, trying to get the big circle with the red circle with the line through it, like that was going to promote positive behavior change, and it just doesn't. So if you're doing those no signs in your classroom, or in your school, in your building, in the hallways, that's a great place to start. Get rid of them and start changing that language. Don't, tell the kids what you want them to do. What is it that you want? And when we can rephrase things in that solution oriented, it's exactly right, Maida. It's about changing the language. And these are nuanced little tiny things that have huge impact. So, but I think initially I would spend the next few weeks, as you leave this little tiny webinar that isn't going to give you a ton, start just evaluating your own mental tape recorder. What does it say when you have a situation that you want to remedy, or a child that you want to redirect? How often do you just immediately in your brain, regardless of what you say or do, how often is your brain saying that child isn't doing what I want him to do? I wanted everyone to go to the carpet and he's still in his chair. Because that all comes through in language and tone and body, and they read it. They're brilliant at reading it. Does
That
that
is
help?
a great
Okay.
place to start. That's a nice seed for all of us. Change doesn't happen fast. Behavior change doesn't happen fast for anybody. And especially when your temperature is hot, that's not the time to start. So we can all kind of just be a little bit more mentally aware and maybe work in some more positive internal language, and that will influence the external language. Let's talk about language, Dr. B. You have a party favor for everybody.
I
Practical
do.
strategy that teachers can do tomorrow to start trying this practical tip in really calm spaces. Watch it make a difference.
That's
What
right.
are
And
we gonna
before
do?
I get to that, can I just say we have like a gifted group here? I got to tell you, Melissa, 100%. Blame gets you stuck. It also sticks the kiddos. They cannot learn if they are feeling like the finger is being pointed at them. And frankly, neither do we. If you had a supervisor walk into your classroom and look at you and say, look, you have got to stop doing blah, 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 it would freeze you up. You would have nowhere to go. So yay. And then Wow, Lisa, one of the biggest questions I get asked is, well, I teach early Head Start, so I can't really do this stuff. Yes, yes, yes. They are listening. They are listening to your words. They are watching your body language. They are hearing the tone of your voice. And that judgment comes through to a 6-month-old baby as much as it does to a 4-year old, as much as it does to a 14-year-old. In fact, maybe subliminally more so. We know how fast the brain is developing. And one of the things that I'm sure that you all deal with your family engagement and with helping parents is helping them to understand that even though your baby can't talk to you, they are taking everything in. So that like horror movie that you're letting them sit through because you think they don't speak those words or understand it, they're taking it all in. Same in the classroom, same in an early Head Start setting. So way to go, Lisa. Thanks for helping me with that. And the idea, Daniel, the reading, the way that they're able to read us is beyond, I think, even our understanding. So the more really trust first, more than anything, helps folks get in touch with themselves. It's really more about what teachers and adults are doing for themselves, and that shifts the way they engage with children, and it is magical. It truly is magical. And yes, it is a mindset, intentional change. There's a lot of acceptance that we're talking about here, non-judgment, just like when we talked about trust. And they are looking for approval and recognition. But what we will learn in Trust First is that it's also okay not to be correct. It's
Mm-hmm.
also okay not to be doing something exactly right. And that is actually safer than constant affirmation that may not necessarily be accurate. So this is really about full engagement with the human condition. So you want your party favor? We're going to run out of time. Let me give you your
I was
party
gonna say
favor.
you're touching every
Okay.
skill now.
Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, so go to solution party favor. When you have a child who needs to be doing something different than they are doing, I just want you to give them permission to do it. I'm going to say that again. When you have a child who needs to do something different from what they are doing at the moment, I want you to give them permission to do what you need them to do. So let's use a really obvious one in a Head Start classroom. We're going to do whole group circle time on the carpet, and I need everyone to move from their chair to the carpet. That can go lots of different ways sideways, right? We all know this. But let's just take a simple example for the purpose of a 30-minute webinar. You've got 15 children, 14 are on the carpet, and one is still in the chair. And you want to redirect that child over to the carpet. You simply say, Susie, you may go to the carpet now. That's it. You could say can as well, by the way. You can say, Susie, you can go to the carpet now. Couple things to check. First of all, you're all going, no way. You cannot just say that one word and it make a difference. It is magical. It is a subliminal permission to do what you need them to do. And just start using it and watch the difference in how your children respond. That is very different than, just to point out, Susie, it's carpet time. Susie, push your chair in and go to the carpet. Those are not the same sentence. You may or you can are vital, vital, vital pieces of that sentence. Because saying, Susie, Susie, go to the carpet now is actually a command. It's not permission, it's a command. And I'm going to get so deep here, Rachel. Do not, I'm going to give you a do not, leave the please off. You don't need to please. It's not a favor. It's something they're able to do. We don't need to over gushy it. It doesn't need to be please. Just, you may go to the carpet. This is your job. And I want you to check a couple of things, give you a couple nuances behind the sentence. Watch your tone of voice, because sometimes if our brain is thinking, Susie, you sit in this chair every single day, we all go to the carpet and you're still in the chair. How come you can't just do what I want you to do? Why is this so hard? Then your sentence comes out something like this. Susie, you can go to the carpet now. which is not quite the same sentence. So just be careful of tone of voice. Lots of uptones, lots of positive tones, not judgmental. You might have to practice it in front of a mirror or with your colleagues. Don't be afraid to role play because some of this stuff is a little different. So, Susie, you may go to the carpet now and just go to the carpet and expect her to follow you and see what happens. Try it out. Keep track of when you're happy with the outcome and when you're not so happy with the outcome, and figure out, maybe do a little analysis. And if you come back to our next session, or if you're in the classroom management credential, I'd love you to share with me your experiences, because these are things that I know are impactful. I know they make change, but you're always going to have a scenario where you can come back and go, I did it. And you know what that kiddo said back to me? And then we can talk about that too. Because this isn't about puppeteering. I'm not going to teach you how to puppeteer children. I'm just going to teach you how to change some tweaks in the way that you present and the way you set up your classroom. And then you're going to watch sort of cultural shift and mind shift and philosophical shift.
If you want a
Okay.
puppeteering class, you call me. You don't call
And
me.
that's right. She can teach you actual puppeteering, but not of children.
Okay, that's all we have, folks. I'm really sorry. If you would like to learn more with us, obviously, classroom culture does not change overnight. It takes time, it takes consistent practice. And as we do with our kids, give yourself permission to make mistakes. That's how we learn. It is okay.
I
But
want
you
to
can,
answer one question, Rachel. I
of course,
can't
I
not
saw
answer.
that look. I
I
saw that look.
can't not answer this, and I can't type fast enough.
Ah,
Okay,
here we go.
Parvina. This is the only one I'm going to have time to answer. Parvina wants to know, they don't want to come to the carpet. It's okay. They can just stay in their chair. They're not being disruptive. They're playing puzzle time. It's okay. It depends. It depends.
Hmm.
Would you like Susie to learn to come to the carpet when it's carpet time? Because if that's what you need, and that's what is best for Susie, because you're going to teach something that she needs to learn, it's also okay to let Susie know that she can come to the carpet when it's carpet time. You have to be able to read the situation and know what matters and what doesn't matter. But part of what we're doing when we teach trust first is teaching kids to listen the first time, teaching them that they to think and be responsible. This is very deep stuff presented in a very simple way. But underneath the surface of what I just taught you is teaching children to think and be responsible. So that's not an exact answer for you, Pravina, but it's going to say, just be careful, because today's happy puzzle minute, 3 months down the road, when she's still not coming to the carpet, could turn to something different. And now she doesn't think it's really her job. So you got to be
Mm.
careful about what it is that you need to teach. You also have to know your kids, obviously children with disabilities and all those kinds of things. So there are lots of moving parts, but I did want to address that because it's a great question.
It is an excellent question, and we go into a lot more of those in our classroom management credential. So fall is underway, but we have registration open for spring. So if this is interesting to you, and I know it is, you can bring a whole group from your program and take this class. It's so much better to learn together. So teachers, assistant teachers, ed managers, coaches, everyone is welcome in this course. We have a discount code set up for you, and we want as many as possible to come and learn together how to affect positive change in your classroom culture. So we hope we will put the links to all of that in our follow-up email. You will get a recording. Share this with everyone in your program, and we hope to see you next time, November 4th. We will be tackling behaviors that challenge us by having fun. We're going to bring our music and movement expert, Nick Young, so we will see you then. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good one.
Have a great day.